Now, as some of you know, I left the mob back in 2005. And for those watching this video outside of the UK, the mob is British Army slang for the British Army. And since 2005, my gosh, it's a long time now, the British Army has changed considerably. Quite literally everything has changed in the British Army except for the rank system, which is pretty much the same. And so, because quite a few of you have asked me to do this video for quite some time now, and you're in luck because here it is, the British Army ranks in order. Now, there are 17 ranks in the British Army, not including private, and one rank that only exists at wartime, but is sometimes an honorary appointment during peacetime. And so the first rank is private. Now, every enlisted soldier gets the rank of private when they get to their regiment after basic training. Other regiments have sapper, guardsman, fusilier, etc. And they are a general dog's body. They have no rank insignia on their shoulders or their arms, and they are used and abused by everyone above them. And because of this, they are quite miserable and will do absolutely anything to try and get out of doing guard duty or fatigues. And so we come to the next rank, which is Lance Corporal. And Lance Corporal is the lowest non-commissioned officer rank. Now, a Lance Corporal usually serves as second in command of a section, and it's also a rank held by specialists, such as clerks, drivers, signallers, machine gunners, mortarmen. So basically you're a glorified private. And when the shit rolls downhill, it's usually the Lance Corporal that cops it. It is the hardest rank in the British Army to achieve, but the easiest to lose. Now, when I was Lance Corporal, I was up and down that rank like a yo-yo. And a Lance Corporal in the Royal Artillery is called a Lance Bombardier. And the next rank up is Corporal, or a full screw. Now, these guys have 2 stripes on their arms, and they will tell you that they are the ones that really run a regiment, but it's not true. They are as big as skivers as the privates, and they like to walk around camp with a big wedge of just paper in their arms to make it look like they're busy so they don't get dicked for anything. Now, a corporal commands a section of between 8 to 10 soldiers, and will have 2 lance corporals beneath them. And a corporal in the Royal Artillery is called a bombardier, and in the Guards is called a lance sergeant. And so above corporal we have sergeant. A sergeant, of course, has 3 stripes and is the senior enlisted soldier within a platoon. And they generally act as second in command to a platoon commander, even though they quite literally do everything. During war, they are in charge of beans and bullets, supplies, and in peacetime they are in charge of training of their platoon. A sergeant also has specialist roles, and in the household cavalry, the title Corporal of Horse is used instead. And then above sergeant we have colour sergeant. Now, I think because the British Army is inevitably becoming woke, they are getting rid of the term colour sergeant and replacing it with staff sergeant. And the staff sergeant's job is generally supply within a company, and is like a mini version of a quartermaster. These are the people you need to keep away from in camp, because if they see you idling about, they will dick you for fatigues and get you to work in their stores, which is boring as hell. And so the next rank up is Company Sergeant Major, or Warrant Officer Class 2. Now, the thing that distinguishes officers from other ranks is commission. A warrant officer does not have a commission. Instead, their authority is granted through a warrant, and their rank is a big crown on their forearm. Now, a company sergeant major is in charge of discipline and the general welfare of the soldiers beneath them, and they are also the right-hand man of the company commander, or a major. We'll get to major later. Now, the next rank up is a bit of an odd one. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't, and you jump to Regimental Sergeant Major, which we come to later. But this rank, Regimental Quartermaster Sergeant, is the person in charge of supply for a regiment, and the rank is a big crown with a wreath surrounding it, and that also goes on the forearm. and they do absolutely nothing because they dick every rank below them to do everything for them instead. Whenever you go to regimental stores, you will see them there sat down having a cup of tea, and is probably the friendlier version of the warrant officer. And so we come to the highest rank for an enlisted soldier, Regimental Sergeant Major, or the Razman, or the Regimental Scary Monster. Now their rank is the Royal Coat of Arms, and that goes on the forearm, but in a Guards regiment it's a huge Royal Coat of Arms, and that goes on the shoulder. Now this person is responsible for the discipline within a unit or a regiment. They are the right-hand man for the commanding officer, the lieutenant colonel, and what they say goes. They advise officers, they tell off officers, and if they're not walking around camp with their commanding officer, they're walking around camp with the regimental police, looking for any reason to jail anyone seen loitering, and is meant to be the kind of father figure for the enlisted men as well. But I remember a story in my regiment, a lad, he was a private, he was secretly dating the RSM's daughter and decided to go into his office and tell him, and it didn't end well for him because this poor lad got hoisted over the RSM's desk and was kicked around the office. That relationship soon ended. And if you're a Lance Jack, Lance Corporal or a Corporal, and you're marching your men, your squad, your unit around camp, and you see a Regimental Sergeant Major walking towards you, you quickly change direction or find another route. That is how scary Regimental Sergeant Majors were back in my day. And so we come to the officers. Now, to become an officer in the British Army, you need either A levels or a degree, and then you go to Sandhurst, the Royal Military College. And Sandhurst has been training the leaders of the British Army for the past 200 years. Now, after a year of being in Sandhurst, you get your commission, and you are called either an ensign or a second lieutenant, and this rank is a little pip that goes on your shoulder. And you are the lowest commissioned officer rank in the British Army, and your job is to command, well, I say command loosely, it's the sergeant that commands the platoon or a troop. A second lieutenant has absolutely no idea what they're doing, and they are famed for not being able to read maps. They are completely out of touch with normal soldiers and have to be taught to do everything by the platoon sergeant. And then the next rank up from second lieutenant is lieutenant, and these are 2 pips on your shoulders. Now, a lieutenant also commands a platoon or a troop, but they have additional responsibilities. And lieutenants also have generally no idea what they're doing, and they still can't read a map. Now, depending on your qualifications before you get to Sandhurst, if you have A levels or a degree, if you have A levels, you will climb the ranks slower than someone who has a degree. And so if someone with an A level joined a regiment at the same time as someone with a degree, then the guy with a degree will get to captain quicker. Now, a captain hovers between company commander and a platoon commander, and their rank is 3 pips on the shoulders. And they also command specialist platoons in the old fire support companies. But if I remember, a captain is like a corporal. They don't really do anything and have loads of paperwork in their arms pretending to do stuff so they don't get dicked for anything. And so the next rank up is major, and this rank is a tiny crown on your shoulder. Now, a major commands a company, squadron or battery, normally around between 100 and 200 men, within a battalion. And you hardly see them in camp at all. They only turn up to give a funny little speech before you go on leave, or to prosecute a soldier when they're getting charged. Now, I have known quite a few enlisted soldiers start off their career as private and end up as major. And these people are exceptional soldiers. But they don't get to command companies. Instead, they get to command the stores. And they are generally known as the QM or the quartermaster. And then we come to the top soldier in a regiment, and that's lieutenant colonel, and their rank is a small crown on top of a pip, and that's on the shoulder. Now, a lieutenant colonel commands an infantry battalion, artillery regiments or cavalry regiments. They are responsible for the units both in the field and when stationed in barracks. They are basically the regimental god. They can do whatever the hell they want, and they're the ones that are responsible for making sure that their unit are ready for war or operations. Now, when you've done your 2 years being the commanding officer of a battalion and your star is rising, you then become a full colonel, and this rank is a small crown on top of 2 pips, and this also goes on your shoulder. Now, colonels normally serve as staff officers for the army's administrative needs, and it's one of these weird ranks between general officers and field officers, and is sometimes an honorary rank given to lieutenant colonels who are about to retire. But if you're seen as a general officer material, you then get promoted to brigadier. Now, this rank is a small crown on top of 3 pips, and this also goes on your shoulder. Now, in other countries, brigadier is brigadier general, but the British Army haven't used brigadier general since the 1920s, and it's been just brigadier. Now, a brigadier commands a brigade in the field or on exercise and holds a senior staff appointment, and a brigadier can sometimes be an honorary colonel of a regiment. And then, if you know the right people, you become a general officer, and the lowest general officer is major general, and this rank is a small star on top of a crossed sword and baton, and this goes on your shoulder. And a major general commands either a division or a brigade, and you are also part of the chief of the general staff's team. And above that we have lieutenant general, and this rank is a small crown on top of a crossed sword and baton. This is also on your shoulder. And a lieutenant general usually commands an army corps or a division. And then there's the top job. If you're lucky enough, you become a general, and this rank is a small crown on top of a small pip and a crossed sword and baton, and this rank also goes on your shoulder. Now, if you are the chief of general staff, you get the cipher of the current monarch, and if you've served multiple monarchs, then you'll have all their ciphers on your rank underneath your general rank. Now, a general commands an army or army corps and is currently the highest rank granted in the British Army. And then we come to the very top rank, which only exists at wartime, but appointed during peacetime. And this rank is field marshal, and it's a small crown on top of 2 batons surrounded by a wreath, and this also goes on the shoulder. Now, as I said, the field marshal is the highest rank in the British Army, and throughout the 20th century it was reserved for army and army group commanders in wartime and retiring chiefs of the general staff at peacetime. And this is the rank which is usually given to the monarch. So if you see King Charles wearing an army uniform, this is the rank he will have on his shoulders. And this rank is equivalent to a 5-star general in the United States Army. And there we have it, all the British Army ranks in order as I remember them back in 2005. Now, if I've missed any important information out, then please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I hope you liked. Please remember to subscribe and share my content if you want. And until the next time, have a great day and Roger Trout.